Can you believe they flagged this tweet as fake news? Who gets to decide these things?
Totally. The system's rigged to only tell the truth that the media wants us to know.
Come on, guys. We all know that's not true. There's a ton of fact-checking tools, and the methods are still improving.
How can we trust some random person to tell us what is right and what's wrong?
Yeah, who are these fact checkers? And how do they even know if things are true?
Well, I could tell you guys a bit about how fact-checking works. Maybe then it will make more sense to you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so first let's talk about the history of fact-checking. Fact-checking first began in the early 2000s, but has become more important over the last few years, especially because of the pandemic and some other factors.
Don't you mean the plandemic?
Actually, there has been such a rise in fake news since the start of the pandemic that it's been called an infodemic by the World Health Organization.
Don't they have better things to do? Maybe they should have been focusing on COVID instead of what people were saying online.
The spread of fake news is part of the focus of COVID because it affects the way we respond to the virus. Some studies show that misinformation does have an observable effect on the way we respond and behave. For example, one study showed participants a fake news story about privacy concerns for a contact tracing app, and the number of participants who were willing to use it went down by 5%.
5% doesn't really sound like that much.
Maybe not, but 5% of a million is 50,000. Imagine the effect of that on a global scale.
Okay, but that doesn't explain how we know these so-called fact checkers are telling the truth.
Well, there isn't always a person checking the facts.
What's that supposed to mean?
A lot of fact-checking is done by people, but there are also lots of different AI-based technologies used for different types of fact-checking. It might be simpler to imagine fact-checking as two categories: human-driven and technology-driven. Human-driven examples can include Twitter's feature called Birdwatch. This method uses crowdsourcing to identify information in tweets that they believe is misleading and write notes that provide informative context. A majority of technology-driven methods employ AI technology in order to distinguish fact from fiction. For example, reverse image search tools, bot detectors, and deepfake detectors.
How would a computer know if something is real or fake?
I'm so glad that you asked. The way AI distinguishes fact from fiction varies. It is mainly determined by the specific task it has been designed for. For example, photo or video editing detectors use AI to look for changes in the metadata of an image or video, while bot detectors look for unnatural language patterns.
That's cool. If computers can do all of that, why do we still use human fact-checking though?
As cool as AI fact-checking is, there is still a ton of improvements that need to be made before these methods can be adopted on a large scale. The biggest downside of AI is that it's not a human, so it makes it very hard to teach these technologies the nuances of language, such as sarcasm. AI is great for more specific tasks, like detected edited images or videos, or filtering posts generated by bots. Unfortunately, the technology is simply not advanced enough to have a full understanding of the way humans communicate, especially across multiple languages. So traditional fact-checking is actually much more accurate than AI methods.
That's cool and all, but I still don't trust someone I've never seen to tell me what's right.
If you were still skeptical, tools such as Google Reverse Image Search or photo editing detectors can be used by individuals to verify media on their own. You should always do your own research, whether or not you believe your sources to be true. Ultimately, fact-checkers are paid to be nonpartisan verifiers of information. But as an individual, there are tools available for you to determine the truth on your own. As an educated consumer of media, you should always be critical of information you receive and source where it comes from.
That's true. Well, thanks for teaching us about fact-checking and how it works. I guess it's not so bad after all.